Moving on now, it is time to raise your glass of scotch, get classy, and welcome a TV legend. The smouldering looks of Anderson Cooper, the vastly underrated youthfulness of Larry King, mix it with Mal Walden, and even then, that hideously talented creation could only imagine soaring to the dizzying heights of anchorman Ron Burgundy.
I'm ready. Good evening, I'm Ron Burgundy. Here's what's going on in your world tonight.
Beginning as the anchorman of San Diego's award-winning Action 4 news team, before heading the World News Centre with wife Veronica Corningstone, Ron's not afraid to get his hands dirty for a scoop.
We woke up the mama.
Fiercely passionate about issues that affect not just the community, but also himself.
Scotchy, scotch, scotch. Here it goes down and through my belly.
And often imitated.
I was fired from a network for wearing jewellery that looked just like those.
Yep, that's an anchorman porno. Ron has travelled to Australia to share his professional wisdom and moustache grooming tips with us all. It's sure to be news, but not as we know it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Burgundy.
Well, that's wonderful. Wow. That's very nice.
Ron.
And I just want to say it is an honor for me to be here in Australia, and I want to make sure I say it the right way, the proper Australian greeting, konnichiwa.
Welcome.
And put another fanny on the Barbie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Ron, if you don't mind me saying so...
I was nervous about that. I got those two right.
You know what?
Yes,
Fitted right in.
Yeah.
Fitted right in.
Thank you.
If you don't mind me saying, you look spectacular, I have to say.
Well, that's a given.
But how long does it take?
This can take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. Today, it only took 3. So got it done in a jiffy because I knew you guys run a tight ship here, and I didn't want to keep Ray waiting.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Now, Ron, you've had some incredible career highlights. Is it possible to name just one?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I've covered 10 wars, 2 of which I personally started. You know, many political events, various things. It's hard to say. Probably the most important thing I've done in my career, either professional or personal-wise, was the night I made love to Bruce Lee.
How was that?
I can't even describe it. And it was just two beings at the top of their professions, just lightning quick movements, and before you know it, we're both in satin robes smoking a cigarette, and you know,
That sort of leads me into, I read your book, which is Let Me Off at the Top.
Yes.
Ron Burgundy. It outlines there your background. So you grew up in the Midwest in America.
In Iowa, yes. Hagglesworth, Iowa.
With a Mexican background or not? Was that totally Mexican?
No. I went to a Catholic school, Our Lady, Queen of Chewbacca High School.
And how did that influence your career and your character? How much did that influence coming from America?
Well, it instilled all the values in me. It taught me how to steal, and you know, a lot of backstabbing in the news game, right, Ray? I mean, you have to watch your back.
You do indeed.
It goes for you too, people. Watch your back.
Ron, this is a curly one for you, but I know you're up for any question.
Please, I'm an open book.
Yeah, what would the world be like if there was no news at all?
You're a real son of a bitch, you know that? I mean, that would be like no Christmas. You know, I think we need our news. It's there's a phrase in the United States, the fourth estate. It keeps the powerful in check.
Do we need all the war and all the death and all that stuff?
Absolutely. It's what sells the news, and without it, let's face it, there'd be nothing to watch.
You're right.
Right.
It's well known that you've been at the forefront of news and the way that it's developed. I recently found out that you were the first to cover a live car chase, live on air.
Yes.
Where's the future of news? Where are we going?
The future of news is in a single word: robots. And
But how could a robot do what you do?
believe me, they're going to be doing a lot more than what I can do. Robots are just... they're going to blow your mind. Yeah.
Could a robot make love to Bruce Lee?
Oh, my gosh. I didn't even think about that. What about a robot that looks exactly like Bruce Lee coming to your house every night with an open invitation?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's in store in the future.
Ron, there was some big international news today, including, of course, Conrad Murray's revelation that he held Michael Jackson's penis every night.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Every doctor I've ever had has held my penis. And
Every night?
just about every night, and then I usually find out they're not a physician at all. They're usually a carpenter or someone posing as a doctor. But that's a weird one. I don't think we saw that one.
Now, Rob, another one. You've defended the Canadian mayor, Rob Ford, who's admitted that he smoked crack. Is that a smart thing to do as a top newsman?
You know, I've done it a handful of times, and it's not that bad. I'm not saying run out and smoke crack. Of course not. But, you know, hey, look.
You've never done it on air, though, have you?
No, of course not. But if anyone has any crack in the studio...
Now, Ron, for anyone who's just switched on the telly, here's a recap of today's headlines. Manly NRL player Richie Faoso will front court tomorrow on a number of charges, including drink driving, after a police chase in Sydney's southwest yesterday. An independent think tank says adding GST to things like fresh food, childcare and health could raise an extra $13 billion to help plug a hole in government finances. Darren Lyons, a celebrity photographer better known as Mr Paparazzi, has won the race to become mayor of the Victorian city of Geelong.
All right, Georgie, let me take over here. Leanne Ellison, the American woman who was criticized for cross-training while heavily pregnant, and she might have been drink driving as well, has boasted online about her post-baby body. The 35-year-old welcomed son Skylar earlier this month, and she told the haters that they can kiss her CrossFit arse. I don't know what that word is.
Is that the first time you've ever used arse?
That's the first time I've ever used the word arse. And finally, some good news for Labour, with the latest opinion poll showing the opposition's enjoying a surge in popularity. The first Fairfax Nielsen poll, horrible poll, by the way, since the election sees Labour's two-party preferred vote up more than 5 points to 52% versus the coalition on 48. But Tony Abbott remains the preferred Prime Minister.
Any big shocks there in that poll for you, Ron?
Well, the biggest shock, I thought, was that the Green Party went up from 9% to 11%. And I just don't understand how you can have an entire political party with people of just the last name Green. How is that effective in any way? And it's kind of remarkable.
No one's ever raised that before.
Last time you were here, though, Julia Gillard. You remember Julia Gillard, the red-headed Prime Minister?
Oh, Julia. Yes.
She's probably watching any message for her.
Julia, I know you got a lot of time on your hands right now. And so do I. Draw whatever conclusions you may from that. Yeah.
It's great to have you in this country, and you do travel the world. We know that.
I do.
I mean, you've already mentioned the word fanny. That can get you in trouble in this country. Do you know what a fanny is in this country?
I have no idea. No.
It's what do you think it is?
I believe it's a small rodent. Is that?
I thought it meant backside in your country.
Oh, back. Oh no, in our country, yes, a fanny, a rump.
Yes.
Yeah, a caboose.
But here, here it means the front.
Front side for.
Well,
a car? For what?
For a front bottom.
A front bottom?
For a woman.
A woman.
For a lady.
For the crotchal region?
Yes.
Okay. So it's very silly to refer to that area as the fanny. It makes you laugh.
You'd have to stop talking about touching fannies, wouldn't you?
No.
Well-
And never name a child fanny. Right?
I mean, maybe it's a newsreader thing. Ray, have you had any linguistic awkwardness in your career?
I have. I did a 60-minute story once in France, and we went to Lourdes, where the miracles of Lourdes happened, and I did a half-hour interview with a priest in French, but I speak no French. So he spoke, and I just said yes, and asked the next question, and he spoke, and asked the next question. So it was kind of silly, but Ron, you'd have done much the same, because you're a world traveller.
Yes, I know no other foreign language other than a little bit of Pig Latin. And Ray did exactly the right thing. You just nod your head and ask the next question. Yes, yes.
Now, I've got to ask, hypothetically, you're both probably the two greatest newsmen on the planet. Head-to-head in a ratings battle, who would win between you guys?
Well, look, I know that Ray's a gentleman. I'm a gentleman. If we were on competing stations, I would invite him out to lunch. We'd have a few cocktails, and then I'd find a moment to sneak out and cut the brakes in his car. But other than that, just above board, you know, may the best man win.
I reckon probably 60% of the time, I'd win the ratings all the time.
Well, that's hard data right there.
But damn it, I do respect you, Ron. I respect you a lot.
Well, I respect you as well, and we had so much fun. I don't know if you remember in 1974 at the International News Conference down in Madagascar. And it was you, me, Cronkite, and Kylie Minogue. And Ray took his shirt off, and all bets were off. And oh my gosh.
They're not floppy guns, are they?
They're not. They weren't back then, and they aren't today. And we drank a gallon of Kahlua and shot flare guns into the local coral reefs and just had the best time.
What else do you do?
We woke up 4 days later in Sri Lanka. You remember, right?
I do remember.
We look forward to reading more about that story in your next autobiography, but for now, unfortunately...
It won't be in there.
We do have to wrap it up. But it's been an absolute pleasure. So would you please thank Ron Burgundy? Thank you.